excited and we have more to talk about than legal and talking about a lot of the great technology we've been developing. And then there's more to Qualcomm than 5G. And our Wi-Fi 6 event is a very important event because it just continues to build on Qualcomm heritage and leadership about all possible radios to provide the connectivity for this always connected world. So it's really my pleasure to be here today, and I think we have a number of exciting announcements. I'll start by saying that, over the past 30 years, and somebody used this moment to kind of define the elevator pitch of Qualcomm. The elevator pitch of Qualcomm is about thinking of everything radio and everything high performance, low power processing capabilities. This is what we do. And it not only would serve us well in cellular, but in every possible way of connectivity, and allow us to expand our reach beyond mobile phones as we think about a smart, connected, everything industry going forward. And these many technology transitions that we had, from going to analog to digital, going from voice to mobile broadband, but also the definition of computing, which is now based on a mobile device. We always brought that innovation heritage to Wi-Fi. And maybe just to recap, from driving the standards on Wi-Fi on 11N, AC and AX, but also RF with multi-user MIMO and multi-user MIMO in broad tiers of performance. And now in the last development of that, it was pioneering mesh networks with the understanding that people want broadband wherever they are, in every possible corner of the home or office. And I think that will continue with this transition to Wi-Fi 6. And our vision as a company is really a place that we're going to see this multitude of devices that are going to be connected, and it's going to consume a lot of data. I like to provide the example when think of something simple, how we started this journey on IoT. IoT is a big promise that I think everyone will continue working on and expect it to get to big numbers. But if you look underline the transformation that is happening with IoT, it went from smart devices to edge devices. They're collecting data from machine learning and part of digital transformation of the home, digital transformation of the enterprise. So we're going to have a number of devices that are going to be connected, will require more speed, will be competing for bandwidth, will require lower latency, and with that we're going to have new devices, services, and experiences. And really, it's our vision of building a connected world, and why wouldn't Wi-Fi 6 be part, and Wi-Fi and that transition be part of that transition along the line with cellular. And for you to achieve those things, you have to overcome key challenges. One is capacity. So it's the data it's incredible. So projections show that IP traffic is going to increase by 6 times, within the next few years. By 2022, the projection is IP traffic will reach 5 zettabytes. I don't even know what a zettabyte is, the growth is so big, and we have clarity in the industry. We've seen this everywhere now with our position in mobile phones. The industry has settled. The last mile data is wireless, and 70% of the entire internet traffic will be wireless. As we think about the tens of billions of smartphones and IoT devices competing for bandwidth, you have to have a solution for capacity. And I think that's where the Qualcomm expertise and the transition to Wi-Fi 6 or FDMA comes. And it's not like, to answer the question, why do you need it, is like, for me, the way we see it is, we're at the beginning of this transformation where, streaming already took over broadcasts. Gaming is going to be, coming. I have the saying that the next console is likely the last console, and you continue to have IoT devices everywhere. So we need capacity. Also, we need change in the models for deployment and for more flexible and scalable models, because homes, the enterprise, venues, cars, and cities will be digitally enabled. And we see opportunity for deployment of this technology everywhere. And we took on these challenges, and that's part of how we believe that we have a great opportunity for new technology innovation in the Wi-Fi area. And all of that goes alongside our vision for 5G. A lot of people ask me the question about how this huge transition to 5G everywhere, 5G goes into the home, 5G goes into the enterprise, connected enterprise, how did it coexist with Wi-Fi? And the simple answer is Wi-Fi is here to stay. Those two technologies are complementary. Those two technologies are responding to the evolution of the use cases, and you're going to have, a much more, an order of magnitude increase in the performance requirements, and you have seamless transitions between those two systems. And therefore, Wi-Fi networks will continue to complement coverage, will continue to be alongside every single mobile device with cellular, and they actually, the ability to make those two systems work well, it will actually separate, the companies that will succeed in the future of wireless. And as we think about that, and we think about this, transition of the industry to Wi-Fi 6, we believe that any company that it does not think in the Wi-Fi arena about this transition to Wi-Fi 6 is not serious, because the benefits are so significant that I actually believe this is the most significant Wi-Fi technology migration to date. With FDMA waveform, you're going to have significant enhancing range and mobility. You will be able to deal with congestions like no other Wi-Fi system had dealt before, and you'll be able to go alongside what we have seen in this trend of the industry, that's mobility and connectivity is going to go to every other industry. And among all the announcements we're going to make today, the one that I'm personally most excited about is the upgrade of the Wi-Fi mesh to Wi-Fi 6. And I think the mesh has been the response, in the home, across not only the retail, but also within the carrier segment, to the fact that data is being used on mobile devices. Every screen becomes a streaming screen. You want to get that happening every corner of your home. And more than that, you're going to start to add IoT devices everywhere. Actually, I will argue that once of the many business cases for operators of 5G using millimeter wave, and I remember the conversation we started with that was about fixed broadband, and many of the analysts said it's going to be hard to do because millimeter wave won't propagate from outside to inside. Well, it propagates with the mesh. So the combination of mesh with multiple forms of broadband solution for the wide area, and the ability to provide Wi-Fi 6 connectivity in every corner of the home with the bandwidth and with the performance actually is going to really ignite this promise of IoT for digital transformation and continue to add performance on the multiple services we have today. And I expect that with the transition we've seen in the industry about the importance of ownership of the home, we've seen that with many of the companies that has been building mesh solutions for the home to support their application ecosystems. We expect to see a change in the carrier view, which has been historically one of wireline broadband first in defining its access points, to change to Wi-Fi first with the fast-performing Wi-Fi 6 mesh. And I think the Wi-Fi 6 mesh will deliver on the promise of making the access points, the IoT hub of the home and on the small and medium enterprise of the future. So that's why we're excited about this transition. And I'll end, my presentation by saying that it's just more than a suite of chipsets. It's about designing those things as a system. It's about designing this in the way that works to solve the real problems of the industry across the enterprise and the retail, and more important, design something that can build a strong ecosystem and works alongside other wireless technologies in those devices. So thank you for coming to our first Wi-Fi 6 event today. Hopefully you're going to like the announcements, and it's my pleasure to welcome to stage Rahul Patel, which is running our connectivity business for Qualcomm. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I'm going to share with you a little bit more about Qualcomm and Qualcomm's commitment to Wi-Fi. There's a lot of discussion about 5G, and Qualcomm and 5G are largely synonymous in terms of what Qualcomm has done for 5G and prior cellular technology. Little known facts, but a lot of significant commitment from Qualcomm over the years towards Wi-Fi. If I have to talk about what has happened over the last decade at Qualcomm with respect to Wi-Fi, you can see some of the acquisitions that Qualcomm has undertaken. In absolute dollar terms, something to the tune of about $7 billion in commitment through these acquisitions that Qualcomm has made to bring unlicensed spectrum technologies into Qualcomm, along with the ongoing R&D that Qualcomm continues to invest in. We were, in many situations, the first when we brought out technology on the Wi-Fi dimension, be it Wi-Fi 4, what is known as 11N, 11AC, Wi-Fi 5, and now Wi-Fi 6. Within these generations of technologies, we delivered some unique technological capabilities that, in the industry pioneered the usefulness of the generation of technology. Some of these things that come to mind are MU-MIMO. Very recently, in the Wi-Fi 5 days, we were the ones that drove MU-MIMO in terms of not only the value, the benefit in Wi-Fi going from one generation to another, but also, more importantly, we delivered in numbers. To date, I can tell you there's 750 million client devices that support MU-MIMO out there in the world. That's not a small number. Realizing the benefit on the access point with MU-MIMO capability is very real. If the network does not support MU-MIMO, you are letting go efficiency that could be derived from every time slice in the Wi-Fi medium that you are going to utilize. Huge benefit in terms of performance, throughput, and range as a result of MU-MIMO. Today, you're going to hear about some very interesting announcements. And these announcements are all about, something that came with our success. Our success of shipping over 4 billion devices in the last 4.5 years. At a run rate, you can do the math, in the neighborhood of about 1 billion Wi-Fi devices out there that use Qualcomm Wi-Fi technology. 1 billion Wi-Fi devices on an annual basis, give or take some, is a great measure of success, but is also, as a leader in the industry, an area of worry. And the area of worry is this: there's 7 billion people on the face of Earth. If we continue to ship, being a leading market share driver for Wi-Fi chipsets in the industry, we continue to ship at this rate, or even better than this, and there's only so much medium to work with. There's going to be a tremendous amount of contention for medium. There's going to be congestion, and as a result, you're going to deliver an experience that is going to deter the consumer of Wi-Fi from using Wi-Fi. And there comes the need for elevating the Wi-Fi experience to a newer level. Wi-Fi 6 is that technology. We take a page out of our cellular heritage, in terms of bringing certain modem capabilities in the Wi-Fi modem. We also innovated on top of those aspects. We have delivered products. We have delivered best-in-class products to address some of these areas. And it's not just about the access point, or it's not just about what's going to be in the phone, but it's also things that are going to be in your cars, that are going to interact with your access point, things that are going to be in your PCs and your next generation IoT devices that are going to support some form of Wi-Fi 6 technology. I can stand all day here and talk about the success of Wi-Fi at Qualcomm, what we are doing with Wi-Fi 6 and helping the industry move to the next big generation of Wi-Fi that is very much needed in the industry. But it is better that you hear it from some of the leading suppliers of the end product in the marketplace. To that effect, I'll share with you that about 26, 27 years back, I came into the Valley, largely with my biggest asset being my degrees in computer engineering and, scraping the bottom. And with me at that time, I ran into a great friend who was also freshly in the industry, in the semiconductor industry, both going different directions in the semi industry. But it so happens in the last 2 decades, we both have been living and breathing Wi-Fi. He has been tremendously successful in founding a company and taking it to an acquisition. Today, I'd like to introduce you to the president of Aruba Networks, and my good friend, and our customer partner, Cristiano Amon.
Thank you, Rahul. It's been a fantastic 25 years of friendship, and for me personally, I just want to highlight the story of Aruba. It's been about 17 years ago when I started the company. We needed a partner who could enable innovation in the marketplace. We had a different concept, different idea to bring Wi-Fi into the enterprise. At that time, Wi-Fi was very much still a consumer technology. And if you looked at the TAM for Wi-Fi, it was probably $1 billion. Today, that TAM can be measured in the enterprise at least $6 billion and still growing. So the market has grown dramatically, and what we needed was a partner on the chipset side who could enable our innovation, which meant we needed someone who understood our needs and gave us chipsets that allowed us to program our intellectual property, our intelligence onto their chipsets. And that's a journey we've been on in the last 17 years, starting with laptop carrying enterprises, how do we enable Wi-Fi for them, to the last decade, which has been mostly about mobility, connecting mobile devices into the enterprise and turning the enterprise into a mobile-first network. And as we look to the future, enabling new connected experiences that meld the mobile devices that are on our person with IoT that is going to be around us in the environment, wherever the environment is. And so as you think about where Wi-Fi 6 is going to take us next, we think of this as enabling the ultimate connected experience. And we got on this journey about 4 or 5 years ago when we created the network for Levi Stadium 5 years ago when they opened. And the goal then was to enable 70,000 fans to enjoy a game like they never enjoyed it before. It was about being able to, of course, capture the game, the events of the game, and stream it on whatever your favorite social media platform is. Or it could be watching instant replays of the plays that happen on the field through multiple camera angles, which meant a lot of video streaming. It could be things like food, beverage, merchandise ordering from a mobile device, so revenue-generating applications for the stadium and the venue operator. And finally, location-based services allowing you to navigate your way from your home to your seat and back all the way. And that connected experience taught us a few lessons, that high-density Wi-Fi in these venue settings was non-trivial. And we needed to go really innovate in that area. And the second part was that experiences are really where the world is headed. Across the board, it's not just about stadiums. Retail stores, hotels, digital workplaces, pretty much wherever you go, we see Wi-Fi 6 being at the heart of creating that connected experience. And so we started innovating with Qualcomm on Wi-Fi 6, and I'm very pleased to announce that we now have a full portfolio based on the Qualcomm chipsets. So this is the Aruba 550, our highest end access point, which has 8x8 radios. And internally, we have managed to fit in 32 antennas. Back when I designed my first access point, it was 2 antennas. And I had no idea how we were going to fit 32 antennas on a single box like that and leave alone make it work. So ultra-high density deployments is going to be one of the key differentiators for us. We are in fact going to bring Wi-Fi 6 based experiences to Chase Center, the home of the Warriors, a couple of blocks down from here, and you'll be able to enjoy that starting this fall as the season begins. IoT is also a very big enabler for us, and IoT basically is not just about Wi-Fi. We see other short-range Wi-Fi, short-range radio technologies like Bluetooth and Segui, which we've integrated into the access point as well. And finally, making Wi-Fi 6 and 5G come together in a seamless experience for the consumer by integrating technologies like Passpoint, which allows that seamless roaming experience no matter which network you're on. And so this act of connecting to a Wi-Fi network becomes a thing of the past. You're just on the network and you don't know it. And finally, creating a set of packages that goes from the enterprise, which is the heritage of Aruba, to now the most recent introduction of Aruba products called the Aruba Instant Home family, which brings it to the prosumer, bringing the same heritage of radio innovation across the board from a market standpoint. So I look forward to what Wi-Fi 6 can do for the industry, and again, thank you very much, Rahul, for the partnership and the opportunity.
Okay, now how do we make these things happen very differently and in a manner that brings tremendous value to the end consumer? Cristiano talked about our heritage in modem technology, and I think it goes without saying that if you get exposed to the R&D caliber, the R&D depth at Qualcomm, you would potentially not be at fault for calling Qualcomm the Mecca, the Vatican, a holy place for any wireless modem technology. Having said that, there is a lot of things that is in our R&D hamper that we bring time to time into our products. A little view of what we have done with Wi-Fi in context of cellular. So you can see all these technologies from 3G to LTE, 4G, 5G, and then Wi-Fi from the traditional bands of Wi-Fi 2.45 and the 60 gigahertz. Well, we were one of the first to kind of invest in 60 gigahertz, the millimeter wave band of Wi-Fi. And today, I believe we are one of the few who continue to invest and bring interesting products in that area as well. So a little bit about our heritage here. So if you look at what happened in between Wi-Fi and cellular, during the 4G world, we learned a lot about MIMO. And as Qualcomm, definitely it was a big optional feature in Wi-Fi 5, but we saw tremendous value in bringing MIMO capabilities along with MU on top of it into the world. In Wi-Fi 5, we were the leading company that drove MU MIMO into the marketplace. We also took some reverse R&D capabilities. Like I said, it's a very highly wireless modem-centric R&D capability in the company. We took a page out of our Wi-Fi heritage through 60 gigahertz, took millimeter wave capabilities and brought it to 5G. Here today, it's very well known in the marketplace. Qualcomm leads millimeter wave 5G, and here you can see how the R&D capabilities were leveraged. Having said that, the big thing going into Wi-Fi 6 is OFDMA, a significant modem advancement capability from the world of cellular, effectively bringing you the experience of low latency, better efficient use of the medium as a result. And so there are many other things like these features that we have brought to life in our Wi-Fi 6 offering. The 3 or 4 that I would like to highlight today, that if you have to walk away today from this event and going through the demos, these are the 3 or 4 things that we differentiate tremendously on versus anything else you will find in the marketplace. A best-in-class OFDMA implementation for best-in-class latency experience in Wi-Fi that you have never had in the past. Usage of the channel and the bandwidth and the medium in the most efficient manner. Bringing H-stream sounding. You saw Kirti talk about H-stream 5 gigahertz implementation, but the ability for a 2-stream or a less than 8 stream client to hear that 8 stream and pick the best of the 8 that would be making sense when you're a 2 stream receiver is key. That benefit, again, enhances the range tremendously, brings tremendous benefit for medium utilization. Your Wi-Fi mesh, is going to be significantly better because your router talking to your device that is backhauling back into the satellites is going to be able to listen to some of the 8-stream routing capabilities at your router versus what's available at the satellite, and that further takes the experience to a newer height in terms of the overall network capability. And then in all of this, making sure you schedule the client so that the battery life experience improves on the clients. And so we implemented this feature called target wait time. You will see in our clients that's a feature that ultimately, in our estimates, can improve battery life on the phones by up to 60%. And so all of these features, amongst many others in our Wi-Fi 6 portfolio, we are going to deliver to our customers through our products. I would encourage you to see some of these features live in action in demos in the first floor of this building. I think you will be able to appreciate key capabilities, especially upstream MU MIMO capability, where the experience that Kirti talked about, when you are upstream in content, venue place like a stadium or a concert event, or where HD traffic, 8K capabilities are coming to the phone screens and recording capabilities are being rendered in the phone. Now that content is going to go upstream. How do you make use of the bandwidth more efficiently? And so those are the use cases that you will see downstairs being demonstrated. Same is the case with H-stream sounding, how H-stream sounding improves the network efficiency, how H-stream makes your Wi-Fi 5 mesh network better with Wi-Fi 6 is going to be there in the demonstrations that you will find downstairs. And so many other things. Please take time to go through some of these demos. Having said that, I can talk all day long. Like I said, last couple of decades, I've done nothing but live Wi-Fi, and my every breath is all about Wi-Fi. But it's best, I bring in somebody from the industry to say a little bit more about Wi-Fi 6. So with no further ado, another friend, a good friend of mine, and also leading a major engineering team at a major OEM, a leading OEM in the industry. Please join me in welcoming Anand Oswal, SVP of Engineering, Cisco Systems, to talk a little bit about Wi-Fi 6.
Thank you. It's great to be here. At Cisco, we are really excited about Wi-Fi 6. And it's not just about, I think we heard a few of the technical aspects about Wi-Fi 6, but it's not just about the technical aspects about Wi-Fi 6, but about the use cases that they really enable. We talk about battery life. I think Rahul talked about the feature target wait time. We expect that because with Wi-Fi 6, you're going to have up to 3 times better battery life for those clients. And we all know that when we are traveling, the number one thing I'm most worried about is when does my battery die off. We're all looking at the percentage of battery life. So it's going to have a big impact with Wi-Fi 6. But we're also going to see a huge deployment of Wi-Fi 6 high density deployments. Whether it's a ball game or high density classrooms, sometimes it's very difficult when we're trying to get something done in environments upstream. With all the efficiency that you get with Wi-Fi 6, the changes in the protocol, I think you're going to see a much better experience of Wi-Fi with high density deployments. And with increased data rates and latencies, you're going to see within the enterprise, things like 4K video, AR, VR applications mainstream. And those robotic applications that you saw in manufacturing, they're starting to mainstream now in healthcare, in retail, and other verticals. And the great determinism that you get Wi-Fi 6, you're going to see an uptake of IoT deployments. Use cases for IoT, mission critical deployments for IoT are going to mainstream with Wi-Fi 6. Now, one of the big pain points in Wi-Fi over the years has always been onboarding onto the Wi-Fi network. And we're working with industry and technology partners to ensure how can you get seamless onboarding onto the Wi-Fi network. Whether you're at a conference looking for a username, password, or sometimes if you're in a hotel, you're entering your last name, then your room number, a portal, a login, and sometimes it's frustrating. There's just different experiences you get different times. And this must be better, right? I mean, getting onto the Wi-Fi network should be as seamless as getting onto the cellular network. And that's what we've been working with industry and technology partners. And if you were at the Mobile World Congress last year, the moment you got on the phone and if you had a Samsung S9 phone, you immediately onboarded onto the Wi-Fi network. And whether you're at the airport, at the conference center, or having dinner at a hotel, you were always connected to the Wi-Fi network. No looking for usernames and passwords, no looking for pop-ups, portals, trying to make sure you can enter Wi-Fi network. You're always on, seamlessly connected. Now, seamless open roaming will also ensure that 5G carriers, as users move from indoors to outdoors and vice versa, it's important to have that seamless experience. So we want to make sure that when you go from indoors to outdoors and vice versa, you're always connected. The experience for you is always on. Now, 5G and Wi-Fi are two different access domains. Ensuring that these two different domains communicate and talk to each other to share common policies, securities, so get the right analytics and visibility is something that we're working very closely in the industry on. And you'll learn more about it from Cisco in the next few months. Now, let me end by saying this. Every time we have a new wireless technology, whether it's been 4G on the cellular side or Wi-Fi 5, 11AC Wave 2, right? We've always seen a growth of deployments, but we also see innovations in business models. New industries have taken off, using the benefits of what these provide to take it to the next level. And I'm convinced that with 5G and with Wi-Fi 6, you're going to see a new use cases, new growth, new innovation coming, driving new outcomes. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Rahul.
Okay, thank you, Anand. I think you heard from two of the most leading OEMs in the marketplace when it comes to access point. It's been a great partnership, great equation along the last few years working together and now bringing Wi-Fi 6 together. A quick overview of everything that they shared, and I believe as Qualcomm we see with tremendous value in Wi-Fi 6 networks are going to be further reaching at many different locations and more available as a result of some of the user experiences that you heard from both Kirti and Anand getting enhanced as a result of the newer way of kind of onboarding, experiencing the benefits of latency improvements, range with Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 6 are going to be everywhere, be it in the transportation hubs, be it in the high-rise buildings like we have in San Francisco area or some urban locations, be it in venues. You heard about the deployment in Levi stadiums as well as the to be made available at the Chase Center. Many public venues are going to experience a lot of interesting Wi-Fi networks on a going forward basis being upgraded to Wi-Fi 6. Enterprises, clearly, people have stopped using Ethernet at the client side as much as you would think it is a better option. Wi-Fi has become the medium over which people transact Skype or WebEx or any kind of video conferencing capabilities, watching multimedia, interacting with their customers, their partners, their colleagues. So a lot of things happening in enterprise where a tremendous amount of data consumption is being done over the wireless networks. In urban locations, parks, many other places, outdoors, you're going to see a tremendous amount of deployments of hotspots and capabilities where Wi-Fi 6 will add tremendous amount of value. And so the home is going to be no different. You will see a demo downstairs where we have a Wi-Fi 5 mesh. Clearly, we brought the mesh, but we very quickly realized that with Wi-Fi mesh, there's only so far you can go if you're going to hang around with Wi-Fi 5. And in the home, you will see a demonstration downstairs on the first floor where the Wi-Fi 5 mesh breaks when more than 4 consumers, which is a typical family of 4, starts using 4K-like traffic over Wi-Fi in their handheld devices or their display devices they are kind of consuming content from. So Wi-Fi 6 adds tremendous amount of value with Wi-Fi mesh that is needed for today's data consumption or multimedia consumption homes. Education is another big area. The world is not too far out where students will stop carrying textbooks. And I think it becomes a lot more valuable where we start kind of looking at the ecosystem and all the other benefits of not carrying textbooks. Obviously, the kids are getting burdened with carrying the backpacks, and that as well is another big benefit. But it becomes meaningful if you have a network that's capable of sustaining the capacity demands in a university, in a school setting. And Wi-Fi 6 is again the answer to that network needs, basically. And so you can see from any and every venue that it can come about, from home to enterprise, to public venues, to academic venues, Wi-Fi 6 is the answer that is needed in the marketplace. With that, I'm going to hand over to Nick to talk about some interesting products that we're going to launch at this event today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul, and thank you very much for coming today. We're really excited to have you all here. My name is Nick Kucharevski, and I lead Qualcomm's wireless infrastructure and networking business. So we're the team who builds chipsets and software for wireless LAN access points. These are the Wi-Fi APs that you see in the home, in the enterprise, and in large venues. Just when you think about the word infrastructure, you think about the city streets, the power grid, water. These are not necessarily things that you want to get excited about. You want it to just work. And so it is with wireless. We're talking about an invisible infrastructure that makes possible all the things that we want to do with our connected devices. Today, we're going to be announcing some very exciting products that are truly a revolution in the next generation of wireless infrastructure. And in order to really comprehend what this means in terms of why it's different, why it's revolutionary, we really have to talk about what's changed. We have a lot more connected devices. These devices that we're now trying to connect to the network, and the way we're using them has changed our expectations, what we expect when we think of connectivity. This has required us to innovate in the wireless standards, to do all new things in terms of our wireless standards for the devices to connect. And it's driven all new requirements for the silicon, the software, and the systems to make this all possible. So through the presentations you'll see today, through the demonstrations this afternoon, we'll be talking about the market drivers, the applications, and the technologies that are driving this revolution in Wi-Fi infrastructure for the wireless spectrum. So first, a little bit of history. So the first Wi-Fi devices were available in 1999. And at that time, if you wanted to use a Wi-Fi network, you probably purchased a module that was about this big and put it in the laptop. And you were really pleased to be able to surf the web from your couch. Or in the office, you had a laptop device that you might be able to connect when you're away from your desk. But the point is, this was a secondary way of connecting to the network. You still had your wired connection in your office at home, or in your docking station at work, or the wired VoIP phone at the desk. So Wi-Fi was really a secondary connection, and you were really only trying to connect a couple devices at a time. Think about that in terms of what that means for the wireless standard to solve this problem, and also the silicon infrastructure that would be necessary to connect 2 or 3 devices to the network for web surfing. Go forward another 10 years, and we start to see an expansion in the application for Wi-Fi devices. Wi-Fi is now the baseline infrastructure in the home and in the enterprise. We're connected with multiple laptops in the home, perhaps a few tablets. The cell phone can connect over Wi-Fi within the home, and we're starting to see the first wireless consumer electronics devices, like DVD players and TVs. But for those applications, Wi-Fi is still the secondary application. It's not the primary way that you would connect to streaming media within the home. Similarly, in the enterprise, the laptop is the primary way of working, but it's not necessarily at the level of pervasiveness we see today. Fast forward another 10 years, and there's been an explosion in devices, both within the home and in the enterprise. In the home, in addition to all of our traditional wireless devices, we now have IoT and home automation. Light switches, light bulbs, light sockets, connected security cameras, which are each streaming 1K video throughout the house. And we now take for granted the fact that each member of our family can be streaming 4K all at the same time. We have a $1,000 handheld cell phone and a $15 light switch sharing the same Wi-Fi network and all trying to connect at the same time. And in the enterprise, you see the same situation, where a couple BYOD devices have turned into a few devices for every employee in the organization. And then in large venue networks, you have a situation where thousands or even tens of thousands of people are connecting to the network at the same time. Picture what this means for the Wi-Fi standards that are necessary to connect all of those devices at the same time. Or what is implied for the silicon that's underlying those systems that provide them. That's why we say this is so exciting. The changes we're seeing in the wireless infrastructure necessary to support these devices has completely changed. We're talking about an order of magnitude increase in the number of devices and our expectations for the applications that we're able to run seamlessly. So this reminds me of an experience I had last month. So the 4th of July, my family was in New York City, and we decided to watch the fireworks, which were going to be fired over the East River. So now if you watched the fireworks on TV that night, that was probably the show that you saw. So about 8 o'clock, we found a spot near the base of the Brooklyn Bridge on the Manhattan side, found a basketball court where there were a few thousand people gathered in a spot about an acre in size. And we split up and tried to find a place to sit, and we were texting back and forth to tell each other where we'd be. Now, of course, those texts finally came across about 5 minutes after we had found our spot, sat down, rolled out the blanket, and were ready to watch the fireworks. Well, what happened here? The cell phone was showing that we had signal, plenty of bars. Clearly, there was something else happening that caused this delay. It wasn't the internet connection. I'm sure the Metro Loop in Midtown Manhattan can handle gigabits of traffic, certainly not for thousands of texts. It really points out the need for that next generation of wireless infrastructure. Thousands of simultaneously connected users, and that's really what we're doing here. A new definition of connectivity is required in order for us to anticipate the needs, in order for us to build these next generation networks, and as consumers, what we will demand of the networks that we're using. 20 years ago, the definition of connectivity was basically, are you connected? That was the criteria, that was the bar. And then a couple years later, we said, how many bars do you have? This indication, which is known as RSSI, is an indicator of the RF signal strength at the antenna in the device you're using. It really talks about how strong is the signal that distance away from the access point. But it doesn't say anything about the network that you're actually using. What type of network are you connected to? How powerful is the silicon that's managing all the connections? How many users are on this network? How much bandwidth am I getting from that point? And most importantly, can I complete the application that I'm trying to run? Which is really why we connect in the first place. So our expectations as consumers are changing, and the infrastructures that we're building are changing very significantly. First, it means a new set of metrics for how we think about Wi-Fi networking. First of all, connectivity is not just about how many bars we have. It's about things like rate versus range, which is how much bandwidth am I getting when I'm this far away from the access point. It makes a lot of sense. From the conference room here, how much bandwidth am I getting to the access point down the hallway? Or am I able to stream 4K video from the guest bedroom with the access point in the garage? This is all about bandwidth at range. We need to be thinking in these terms. Secondly, connecting to the network is not simply about figuring out what SSID to join and then joining that network. It's about understanding how many people are currently using that network, and can that network handle the traffic that I'm about to bring in? And so that is another set of new metrics that we need to be considering when developing the networks, and also in our devices when they're choosing which network to connect to and how. I think about this a lot like driving in traffic. So after I leave the event today, my phone will tell me probably 3 or 4 different ways to get from San Francisco to San Jose based on the congestion on each of the roads from here to there. I take that for granted now. So with Wi-Fi, we have the capability of doing the same thing. I have something I need to do with my device. Which network should I join? And in order to do the application I want to run, can the network handle that? So just like with the roads, the different type of road will determine how many cars can use it. For instance, 280 can handle quite a few cars before the line on the map on my phone turns red. But Skyline Boulevard will probably turn red after maybe 1/10 as many cars. It's the same thing with Wi-Fi networks. Some networks, some silicon, some systems may become congested with just a handful of users connected. Others will be able to handle traffic at very high bandwidth, high rates, and low latency, up into and including 1,000 users connected to the network. But there's a significant difference in the hardware and the systems that are built for those 1,000 user networks when you compare it to 5 users, or what we used to do with Wi-Fi networking. So that is the next generation and the new expectations that we have for modern Wi-Fi. It's ultimately about, can I do the work that I need done along with the other people that are using that network? How long does it take for me to connect to the network, to begin to transfer the file, and can I actually get it done before congestion will actually cause that to drop? And this is really what we expect when we think of connectivity, and it's really about making sure that the end-to-end infrastructure is there to support that. So, in large part, this starts with the standards. That is what Wi-Fi 6 is about. Wi-Fi 6, otherwise known as 802.11ax, was developed exactly to solve these modern challenges in high-density Wi-Fi networks. It's all about this 10 times increase in the number of connected devices. It's about the large number of streaming applications all running at once. And it's about making sure that a lot of devices can connect and can complete those transactions. I won't go into detail about all of the standards and all of the features within the Wi-Fi 6 standard, but if you look at this, most of them are about high-density user connectivity. When you talk about MU-MIMO or OFDMA, this is about enabling multiple devices to talk literally at the same time across the Wi-Fi network, both in the downstream direction and in the upstream direction. And that's necessary to enable this high user connectivity. Other of these features, like 8x8, serve two purposes. They enhance the bandwidth for multi-user connectivity, but they also can improve rate versus range and the amount of bandwidth that you get when you're farther away from the access point. But this has all been developed in order to improve the infrastructure itself, to improve the user experience when all you want to do is connect and get work done. But now the Wi-Fi standards by themselves are not enough, right? Those standards simply determine how devices are supposed to communicate with one another when they're using shared unlicensed spectrum. They are a set of protocols for interoperating. But performing the work of actually enabling 1,000 devices, opening up all of those sessions, enabling those transfers to all happen in parallel, there is a lot of innovation and a lot of complexity in enabling that to happen, and enable it to happen with good quality of service, with low latency, which translates into good streaming video and clean IP phone calls. And that's really where the silicon comes in. That's the software, and that's the system design that we'll be hearing from our partners today. So with that, today we are very pleased to announce the Qualcomm Networking Pro series, a full next generation of products architected from the ground up for high-density Wi-Fi environments. 4 distinct platforms built to lead the industry in our Wi-Fi 6 implementation, using an all-new chipset architecture that's made to handle multiple client connections, all happening simultaneously, and to enable them with good quality of service at low latency. It truly has been developed from the ground up for these high-density Wi-Fi environments. This is built on the Qualcomm Max User architecture, and it enables very, very high capacity, both in terms of throughput across the Wi-Fi network and high user connectivity. The devices offer up to 12 spatial streams of Wi-Fi 6 connectivity in this single device. This means you can support an access point with 12 antennas being fed by a single system on a chip. Our massive multi-user architecture enables support for up to 1,500 simultaneous users per access point. Now I want to emphasize that. That's not about 1,500 configured users. That's about 1,500 users that are simultaneously associated and attempting to transfer data at the same time. A significant new innovation in Wi-Fi technology. We have implemented the Wi-Fi 6 standard and in some cases truly maxed out our implementation. We're supporting 37 users simultaneously over OFDMA and then time slice those 37 users to build up to that 1,500. We also support 8 user MU-MIMO for simultaneous access. And all of this is built on top of a silicon architecture providing multi-user buffering, queuing, and scheduling for transfer of this data across the network. Up to 10 gigabit Ethernet. We also support DDR4 memory interfaces and the latest generation PCI Express Generation 3. So it is truly a next generation in terms of wired networking, wireless networking, and compute performance that is really necessary for this next generation. All of these technologies are made available through a complete portfolio of silicon and software. This will enable our customers to develop and quickly deploy a full product line ranging from 2x2 plus 2x2 access points for a small business or a home, ranging up to a 12-stream platform with an 8x8 plus 4x4 for a large home, for a large venue, or for large corporations, where you get the longest reach and the highest number of simultaneously connected users. All of these devices share a common infrastructure in that software that's developed for one of these products that can be quickly scaled across different members of the product family. This enables our customers and partners to develop a very broad product offering with a common set of benefits for the end user. Now, the Qualcomm Networking Pro series is the second wave of access point silicon made available by Qualcomm. In February 2017, we announced the IPQ8074, which was our first generation Wi-Fi 6 product. That device is now in production and is available in systems from several of our partners. Now this month we are announcing the Pro series from the 400 to the 600, 800, and 1200, which is a new product family with platform enhancements relative to the IPQ8074. Specifically, we've added support for upstream MU-MIMO, upstream OFDMA, and support for up to 37 simultaneous users. What this means is you can now not only connect simultaneous users in the downstream direction, but also upstream for doing things like uploading video files and other tasks like that. So with these product families, we've really completed a full line of access point offerings. Several of these devices are going into production now. You'll see them very soon from our development partners. Others are just sampling. But all of the devices shown here are available now for our development partners for new system engineering. So as I've talked about today, these products, the new standards, and the systems that use them will enable a truly new experience for connected devices. It really has changed our definition of connectivity. When we think about what it means to use a Wi-Fi network, what we thought 20 years ago is very different from how we think today. And that means having a different set of networking equipment and a different set of chips and software to perform those networking functions. And that is really what we've done with the Qualcomm Pro Networking series that is announced right about now. So with these products, we will expect to see a new generation of Wi-Fi 6 systems, ranging from home devices, where the small form factor of the 400 will enable a system large enough to fit behind a couch, all the way up to the 1200 series, where you can connect a 3,000 square foot house from a single access point, or you can use multiple access points to connect thousands and thousands of people within the scope of a single network. So with that, we have a special feature for you today. We will be hearing from some of the wireless industry's foremost thought leaders, as they'll be talking about their next generation vision for Wi-Fi 6, and they'll be talking about how we're all working together to make this next generation of connected a reality. Thanks very much.
Please welcome Chief Technical Officer, CommScope, Morgan Kirk.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Morgan Kirk. I'm from CommScope. You may or may not have heard of us. I'm speaking on behalf of our Ruckus division, which you probably have heard of as a leader in Wi-Fi access points for some time. And I'm going to be talking to you about a couple of use cases that have been described a little bit already today, at least one of them, but I'm going to describe what I see as a vision for the future. So, you talk about what helps drive an industry, and there's probably nothing better than sports fans to help drive an industry. And what expectations will be in the future fundamentally different from the past. You heard about in the past already today, a sports stadium, people are trying to stream, they're trying to text to each other, they're trying to do a lot of things that we sort of consider normal today. But tomorrow, it's going to be very, very different. It's going to be more than just streaming videos. It's going to be being far more interactive with the environment than we've ever had in the past. Virtual reality and virtual augmentation are going to take sports fans into the tunnels, onto the field, in environments where we really haven't had that sort of experience. And for that, we're going to need a ton of data. And this is terribly important for places that you're paying a large admission, family of four, now over $1,000 to go to a football game, to have that type of experience to continue to drive fans and drive an experience that might not be available in any other place. And this environment that we're working in is actually fundamentally harder than virtually any other environment on the planet because it's in a bowl, it's all open. So you're subject to lots and lots of interference. And Wi-Fi 6 enables you to do things that couldn't be done before. It enables you to reduce the amount of interference in the environment with things like LockPMA and scheduled uplink and multi-BSSID. All of these types of features are really to enable this type of capacity for all of these new applications. We think this is one of the areas that we're starting to see as our first deployable areas for Wi-Fi 6. Now the other area that I wanted to talk about was really education. And when we usually think of education, we think of some sort of a college, but I'm talking about grade school education, K through 12. And I think the reason that this is so salient is the experience that you have as a child has changed fundamentally from when we were children. Kids today, if you ever see a video of a kid who's 1 year old and he's trying to swipe right on a magazine because he doesn't understand that the magazine is not interactive. Well, these people are now going into grade school, and their experience in grade school is going to be very, very different. They're going to need things like always connected computers. That's how they're going to interact with things. Books going away, tablets coming in, having online testing that would take place in a large auditorium that if they can't be connected, their fundamental future is changing. So this is another area where we believe there's a lot to go on that Wi-Fi 6 will enable. We even note that Wi-Fi 6, just by the way we've implemented it, gives you an immediate boost on older clients. So it will take time to get all the new clients on, where you'll get hundreds of % improvement, but Wi-Fi 6 implementations allow you to get some of that improvement today. Now, Wi-Fi 6 is a requirement for the access point, but then it enables and is needed to enable a much larger ecosystem that includes not just Wi-Fi, but gigabit switching. We're now over a gigabit of data rate through an access point, so you've got to attach to multi-gigabit switches and multi-gigabit backhaul, category 6A cabling, fiber that goes beyond that. All of these things need to be upgraded. So this ecosystem as a whole is really going to change over the next couple of years as we enable this greater experience. Finally, looking forward, we have Wi-Fi, we have cellular, and then we have Wi-Fi and cellular together. Now, we think that each one of these technologies, as you heard earlier today, are borrowing from each other. They're finding the best parts of one, bringing into another. Schedulers from 5G, moving into the Wi-Fi space. Simplicity from the Wi-Fi space, moving into the 5G space. CommScope plays in both of these arenas, and we really look forward to taking these two synergistic and complementary technologies to the next level over the next couple of years. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Technical Officer, Boingo, Dr. Derek Peterson.
Good morning. It's great to be here, and thanks Qualcomm for letting us be here. It's exciting to see all these new tools that I'm going to be able to play with. As a nerd, I'm extremely excited about this new set of chips that I'm going to be able to deploy. I'm here to talk a little bit about Wi-Fi 6 and what we've done today. You know, Boingo's been doing Wi-Fi since 2001 when we were aggregating a lot of locations and trying to get that connectivity into airports, and that's where a lot of people know us and recognize Boingo from. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that experience at that airport. We've brought that experience to a lot more locations now. We're doing multifamily, we're doing airports, we're doing stadiums, and a lot of the stuff that was talked about. But one of the things that we should also recognize is that when you're doing an airport and you're delivering cellular and Wi-Fi at an airport, we're touching billions of consumers daily, and we want to have that great experience. And so to have that great experience, you need to have great tools like what we're seeing with Wi-Fi 6 to make that happen. So when we look at an airport, and we do a deep dive on an airport is like running a Super Bowl every single day. You have hundreds of thousands of people going through an airport, some of them are larger airports, every day. And we're trying to make sure that we're providing that experience for that individual who comes through that airport, not only trying to get on the aircraft and the digital transformation going on there, but all the digital transformations happening throughout that entire location that we're seeing in stadiums is also happening in these transportation hubs that we're used to going to. And so when you look at these kind of experiences and what you see going through airports is you see a lot of people, and you can imagine in today's world, how do you end up putting access points up in the ceilings or in these rafters up there to be able to serve every single person who's doing all those different things in that kind of an area. And how do we do that? Well, we have to make our networks faster, smarter, and more efficient, and that's what we've seen with some of the Wi-Fi 6 capabilities that are coming out. So we've been working on Wi-Fi 6 with different partners, with Qualcomm, with Cisco, and others, to be able to make sure that we're ready to be able to push this envelope and get this equipment out. So I'm going to be talking about a Wi-Fi 6 trial we did back in April. We started off and we started playing around with different equipment in the lab earlier this year. We then ended up in April of this year, we launched a Wi-Fi 6 trial in John Wayne Airport down in Orange County. It was a great experience for us to be able to work with our partners and make that happen, and be able to understand the changes that we're going to have to make in the environment as shared. We're going to have to make a lot of back room changes as well as the access point changes that are happening to make multi-gigabit access available to everyone. And another key important is to understand how the Wi-Fi 6 converges with the 5G and how all of that's going to work together with licensed, unlicensed, and spectrum, and shared spectrum working together. Our goal, and I've been sharing this for a while, my goal is to try to make sure that everybody gets 100 megahertz. So whether you're a carrier consumer or you're a consumer that's being by one of the tenants inside of the airport, or you're a Boingo consumer, we want you to be able to have that 100 megahertz experience. And so that means we need to make sure that we provide that convergence to make that happen. So let's dig in a little bit about the Wi-Fi 6 trial, because I get a lot of questions about it. So we started off in John Wayne Airport. We thought it was a great airport. It's in our backyard. We're based in LA. It has 10 million annual passengers go through there. It was the first major deployment of Wi-Fi 6 in a major airport. The staff is continuing to use it today, so they have equipment that they're using and they're able to use that Wi-Fi 6 today to be able to do operational tasks, and they're really enjoying using it. And here's a couple stats or quotes from different individuals. So the airport director, John Wayne, ended up sharing how that wireless connectivity and us evolving and giving that better connected experience is very important to him being able to provide that great user experience. As we know, John Wayne's voted number 4 in the best travel and leisure location to go to, so it's a great location, and they're really interested in providing that great experience. As you can imagine, they've got LAX, they've got San Diego, they're kind of sitting there in the middle, and they want to make sure people are coming and using their airport, so providing that great experience is very important for them. One of the things I do want to make sure that we look at is that there's a convergence happening in the industry, and we've been talking about it today about how Wi-Fi 6 and 5G can complement each other. And I'm a true believer that convergence and collaboration is how we end up continuing the evolution of the wireless connectivity in our wireless lives. So when we look at 5G and we work at Wi-Fi and we look at all the advantages, and this is from the ITU study for 2020 for 5G, what we did is we took that same map along in the WBA and we ended up comparing Wi-Fi 6 and 5G, and you can see that there's a lot of similarities between the two. And so by being able to utilize them together and recognize where there are strengths of one versus another to create that ecosystem, you can really create a great ecosystem for everybody. So with that, I always end most of my speeches with a call for convergence. It's very important, you know, as we're developing networks for individuals as a neutral host operator, that we recognize that there's a lot of different tools available for us, and if we end up working together, we can end up creating a better connected experience. So Wi-Fi 6 is a great tool. We're excited about it. Thanks for having us here. And let's make sure that we're creating a great experience even for that guy as he's going through the airport. So with that, thank you.
Senior Director, Cisco Meraki, Morgan Teachworth.
Hello, good morning. I'm Morgan Teachworth. I work in the hardware group at Cisco Meraki. I've been doing it for coming on 15 years, so what we saw earlier about the transition through the 11N, through Wi-Fi 4, Wi-Fi 5, I couldn't agree more. I'm really seeing right now Wi-Fi 6, in fact, being the largest change, the largest shift in the technology, and it's really enabling a whole different kind of class of deployment and a different kind of class of customer. What I want to do today is highlight a couple of those early customer use cases, and in doing so, show what they're looking for in the Wi-Fi 6 and the adoption of the technology. It really comes down to mobility and access. And in the first case, I want to talk about McLaren racing. So McLaren racing, when you think about it, you think about the race cars, you think about the doing laps, you think about winning the races, but it's really an incredible ecosystem that needs to work together in real time. They have the racers, both the cars and their bike teams. They have retail locations. They run their own manufacturing facilities. And what they need is the ability to move data from an active event to all of those locations in order to change things on the fly. And for a very long time, they had fixed locations, they had guaranteed access in those locations, but they were far apart. The engineers felt tethered to their desk. The people running the racing booth weren't down in the pit. They were up in the booth next to the network, knowing that it was going to work. So what they're really looking for in rolling out Wi-Fi 6 is mobility. Mobility for them is the ability to put any of their resources anywhere and have instant access to the racing data. In a single race, they'll generate 1.5 terabytes of data. And that immediately feeds back into the racer, into the car and into the manufacturing that's happening ongoing. So what they needed out of that Wi-Fi 6 was an assurance that they were going to be able to move that and move it fast and not damage the other connections going on at the same time with, with the customers, with the retail group. It's been a very successful rollout so far. They have a traveling pack. They will take the Wi-Fi 6 technology with them and set up a new deployment anywhere where they're about to do a new race or where they do a pop-up. And they really do see the benefit of all of the new features that are in there. Now moving on to access, this was a recent deployment at the US Open. And my team helped with this deployment. It was an early experiment. And the very interesting thing about a venue like Pebble Beach is it's not like a stadium, which is incredibly difficult in that it's a bowl and there's many, many people. It's the same number of people. It's 200,000 people visiting the US Open. And they move from hole to hole to hole. It's like a stadium that moves from place to place. As well, it's an outdoor technology, or it's an outdoor venue, and outdoor venues have always been a challenge for Wi-Fi technologies. When we looked at similar deployments in the past with Wi-Fi 5 technology, and we looked at the performance that we could get with Wi-Fi 6, you saw incredible enhancements in range. You saw the enhancements starting to come in the battery life of the devices, and all of the OFDMA and splitting. You really did see that just by slotting in the new Wi-Fi 6 technology, you saw an immediate uplift for clients that haven't even started to adopt it yet. Moving from hole to hole, the interesting thing that we noticed about this event that we had never seen before in similar venues or with similar customers is for the first time the upload traffic exceeded the download traffic for an event like this. So many people on multiple devices are moving their own video, streaming back or streaming out to the cloud rather than only looking at the replay. So a lot of the technology, the MU-MIMO, the OFDMA again, is really enhancing the user experience and allowing us to move these incredible groups of people from access point to access point to access point over the course of the day. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senior Vice President, Connected Home Products, Netgear, David Henry.
All right, good morning, thank you. I think Cristiano started off giving about 30 years of history of Qualcomm's innovation and connectivity. I think in Netgear we've been partnered with Qualcomm for at least 20 of those years, and we're really thankful for that and thankful for having us today. I'll take you back just 3 years. 3 years ago this month, Netgear released and announced our Orbi product line. It was in partnership with Qualcomm as well. It was the first to market tri-band mesh Wi-Fi system. And we designed it for, at that time, very large homes, people who had basements they couldn't get connectivity to, people who had backyards and poolside houses, they wanted connectivity. And of course, people with lots of devices, right? And very quickly, Orbi became the performance king in the market. And widely known as if you need the best Wi-Fi, you get the Orbi. And it resonated very well in the market. We know this because consumers decided to vote with their wallets. They would walk into a store and pay hundreds of dollars for networking and ditch something they were getting for free or highly subsidized from their ISP. Right? They'd rather pay for a better experience and get something for free. And why is that? Well, over the last few years, broadband speeds have continued to increase. We're seeing gigabit and actually multi-gigabit broadband, not just here in Silicon Valley and in South Korea, but everywhere. It's coax, it's fiber, becoming 5G. In fact, most of our customers of Orbi are coax and fiber customers. So not just the speeds in the home have been increasing, but we've also seen the applications and how we use those applications change. So more and more, we're seeing people online and connected all the time, right? They're always online with some sort of device. They're consuming more and more digital media. digital content than they ever had before, and it's much richer content. And they're consuming it on devices that are Wi-Fi connected, that are mobile devices, tablets and smartphones, as opposed to TVs and computers that are more stationary and potentially could be connected with a wire, right? So all of this traffic is now going over to Wi-Fi. In addition, we're loading up our homes with smart home devices. We're loading them up with cameras. We're loading them up with thermostats. We're loading them up with everything in your home being connected to the network. And we're literally creating a digital traffic jam, right? I'm not sure if it's petabytes or zettabytes, but whatever it is, it's a lot of data in the home, creating the exact same congestion that we've seen outside home and in infrastructure. All right. So if somebody as us, doesn't solve this challenge in the home, right? Doesn't address it with new technology, pretty much all those applications that we're enjoying, right? All those smart home devices that require persistent, low latency connections to the cloud at all times, all of that will grind to a halt. And that's why over the past few years, we've been working very closely with Qualcomm on Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 6 is the technology that will solve all of these challenges we've been talking about. And just like A, B, G, N, AC, Wi-Fi 1 through 5, Wi-Fi 6, of course, is faster than all the Wi-Fi in the past. Better range than the Wi-Fi in the past. But more importantly, it solves a new challenge, and that challenge is one of capacity and efficiency, right? Homes where you've got 10, 20, now 50, now hundreds of devices now connected to the network. I mean, we saw 1,500 devices can now be supported, right? Homes where you're in neighborhoods or apartment buildings where there's very dense environments, where there's literally hundreds of networks all within earshot, all sharing, sitting on top of each other, sharing frequency. Wi-Fi 6 was designed to address those challenges. Right? We've been successful with our Nighthawk Wi-Fi 6 product line. We've been very impressed with the take-up of those products. But the customers have been asking for mesh. Right? They've been asking for the Orbi product line. Right? And we're seeing it in the market. In fact, today, ignoring Wi-Fi 6, we just looked at the market in the consumer space. It's equivalent size between a standalone router and a wireless mesh system. People are starting to move more and more to mesh systems. This is a category that didn't exist in retail just over 3 years ago. It's already equivalent size to wireless routers. So today, we're trying to offer our customers the best of both these technologies. The Wi-Fi 6 that delivers all these changes and all these improvements that we've been talking about today, as well as the mesh for that whole home coverage. So on September 6th, next week, NEC will be very proud to announce Orbi Wi-Fi 6. Orbi Wi-Fi 6 will be the fastest performing mesh network on the market, period. Right? We are going to be leveraging Netgear's patented tri-band technology. We'll be leveraging the only one to leverage 4x4 radios, not just on each of the front haul to both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, but also on the backhaul, to make sure as you load up all these devices on your home network, the backhaul is still robust and can transmit that data between the various nodes of the Orbi network. It's designed not just for those large homes we talked about earlier, but it truly will deliver on that promise of network capacity and network efficiency. The Orbi Wi-Fi mesh system will be available worldwide. We'll be announcing it next week. And with our partnership with Qualcomm, we're going to continue to enhance the Orbi Wi-Fi 6 product line. This is the first product line that leverages that Pro Series 1200 platform. And that's the fastest performing, highest performing platform in Qualcomm's portfolio. So I want to thank you all for having us today. Thank you all for having me today. And I would invite you all in the coming month to reach out to Netgear, to take a sample of this, and experience Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6 mesh for yourselves. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to take a little break. But I was told to emphasize a short break, because I think we're running a little bit behind. But this has been great stuff. Announcements have hit the wire. Thank you all for your stories, and thanks again for all the customers who joined us this morning. Lots to come, so a quick break, and we'll be back really, really soon to talk about Wi-Fi 6 and mobile. Thanks again. See you soon.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President and General Manager, Mobile Connectivity and Compute, Dino Bekis.
Well, good morning. Thanks for making the time to join us. I'm Dino Bekis, and I manage the mobile and compute connectivity business. And it's what I like to say is, for all the discussions we had earlier about why do we have this infrastructure and why do we go ahead and build these tremendous products, is to make sure that the end user has a tremendous online experience. And I like to believe that in the mobile and compute business, it's where the magic happens, right? It's for all the hard work that all of you talked about earlier, it's where it all comes together to give that end user experience and make it a quite compelling one. So I'm sure all of us know how important smartphones and computing devices are in our lives, and they really have become the central, indispensable tool that enhance our lives, thanks primarily due to wireless connectivity. And whether it's watching moments that move us, sharing experiences that bring us closer together, inspiring others with and sharing our creativity, interacting in myriad virtual worlds and games and competing with each other, creating a unique personal look that you can only do really in the privacy of your own home, or really enjoying and celebrating the moments of your life. Mobile devices are at the heart of innovation that continue to revolutionize how we connect with each other, with the world, and our overall real-life surroundings. And it's really become indispensable. I recall an article not so long ago that talked about a survey, and they were referencing that consumers valued Wi-Fi as more important than their morning cup of coffee or morning cup of tea. Right? In terms of, they have to make a choice, what would they pick, right? I don't know if I would sacrifice my morning cup of coffee, but I think it certainly is an indication of how important Wi-Fi has become to everyday life. And nothing really indicates how intimately linked Wi-Fi is to our lives than really through the eyes of our children. If you bear with me a moment, I want to share a story about my son. So we had just come back from a long holiday visiting family, and of course my parents don't necessarily have the latest Wi-Fi in their home, and son comes home, jumps on the couch, and says, "Oh, I'm so happy to be home." So I said, well, why? Is it because you missed your couch, the toys, or whatever? He goes, "Oh, we finally have good Wi-Fi." And it really was one of those moments where he was 7 years old, and that's what was important to him. His experiences on his connected device, and he could tell the difference between what was, in his eyes, bad Wi-Fi and good Wi-Fi. So I think that if you think for a moment about the impact that our collective technologies have had, and also Qualcomm has had in terms of some of the wireless innovations to consumers' everyday lives, things that are now part of everyone's day-to-day activities, connecting phones on the internet 24/7, location-based services that some of the speakers talked about, video streaming, facial recognition technology, imaging and video capture, and then audio file sound quality. All these are capabilities available on this really compact set of devices, whether it's your laptop or a smartphone. And then I'd ask you to consider the dramatic impact of trends we are experiencing today. So between now and 2022, think about this. 7 times increase in the global mobile traffic of data between, and reaching, this is really something, I know someone's talking zettabytes or exabytes. 77.5 exabytes, that's 10 to the 18th bytes per month being transacted in terms of mobile devices with data traffic. 80% of the data traffic was going to be video by 2022. 70% of all IP traffic is going to be wireless by that time. and over 50% of that's going to be over Wi-Fi. And then almost 60% of mobile data will be Wi-Fi offload by that window, all driven by new data-intensive and latency-sensitive applications that Wi-Fi 6 is uniquely suited for. And these changes are going to have big impacts, right? They're going to permeate every aspect of our lives. Every experience will become truly mobile without the concern of connection, congestion, network handoff. Of equal importance, right? Mobile experiences will have the ability to take advantage of these technologies without the need for proprietary implementations, which today really are what's driving a lot of these high-speed capabilities. And then once OEMs and operators and application developers and customers have access to these powerful next-generation Wi-Fi capabilities, possibilities are going to be truly endless. So from my perspective, Wi-Fi 6 realizes the promise of the future today, right? Delivering unprecedented bandwidth, throughput, improved battery life, in addition to state-of-the-art security. It significantly enhances wireless performance across multiple vectors. And as Rahul had talked about earlier, it uses, in some cases, fundamental technology and methods that are brand new to Wi-Fi, and some of which are from our traditional mobile networking space in 4G and 5G. So Qualcomm has really led the charge in delivering some of these key Wi-Fi 6 capabilities and products in the market today, delivering enhanced performance and security and available across all of our FastConnect 6 series subsystems. So I know it's maybe the first time some of you have heard the term, but what is FastConnect? And what does it deliver? So I thought you'd never ask with respect to what that is, and I would love to talk to you about it. But frankly, at the end of the day, it's a new way that we're choosing to describe our core wireless connectivity subsystems found in our platform. And it's much more than just Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It brings together advanced multi-user technology, high-performance optimizations, and power-efficient design elements into one critical subsystem. Our objective is to deliver an end-to-end system-wide approach to mobile connectivity as part of the broader Snapdragon platforms, and also as part of our standalone implementations that might go into traditional x86 laptop. Whether it's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth integration, advanced multi-user technology, overall system-wide performance, power-efficient design, all about how we deliver an end-to-end experience to enable the best and most highly optimized implementation of unlicensed connectivity on the platform. So I think what's really exciting is that this isn't about something that's going to happen. This is something that is happening right now as we speak. The FastConnect 6200 subsystem is attached to nearly all of over 225 Snapdragon 855 and 855 Plus designs, including nearly all 5G designs. Unlike previous technology generations, where device availability was limited or maybe slowly percolating through, we've seen an incredible response from device manufacturers with the transition to 5G and the need to implement Wi-Fi 6 capability. And from smartphones to mobile hotspots to modems and CPEs, there's already an extensive array of 5G devices with more to come. Many of these are powered by our 5G solutions, and I think over the next year you're going to see even more to be released. But I think the key is it's not just a subset of customers, it's not just a small set of phones. These are, when we talk about 225 designs, these are populated throughout all the carriers in the world, multiple platforms, and I think it's really an exciting time to look at the client base that's sort of growing in this space. It's really taking off quite significantly beginning this year. So this is today. FastConnect 6200, MU MIMO capability, 8-stream sounding, implementation of target wake-up time that dramatically reduces power consumption, improves battery life by over 60%. The most uncompromised and comprehensive Wi-Fi 6 WPA3 security implementation suite. Moving in products and shipping in products that you can touch, feel, and purchase today. And this is tomorrow. I'm proud to announce the FastConnect 6800 subsystem dramatically advances the state of the art. Not only does it take advantage of everything that's in the FastConnect 6200 solution, but adds support for 1024 QAM in both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, full OFDMA and MU-MIMO implementation, the latest in Bluetooth innovations with 5.1 and what I like to call 5.1 plus moving forward, dual band simultaneous capability, and up to 1.8 gigabits per second throughput on your handheld device. Right? This isn't something that is just a number on a box. This is something that absolutely can be realized with these platform infrastructure networks we've been talking about today. And MU-MIMO, as we talked about, is a critical component of Wi-Fi 6. 4 years ago, in this exact venue, some of you may have been part of that introduction of MU-MIMO. I think VK might have given that presentation. And I think that is really we talked about the promise of what we can deliver there, and now we're realizing the potential. With over 750 million devices deployed that take advantage or implement MU-MIMO capability. And one criticism sometimes it's leveled at MU-MIMO is that it fails to deliver to its capability or its promise with moving clients like smartphones. But that very well may be jealousy speaking. Multiple tests by third parties show that in all cases, MU-MIMO outperforms any other mode with an average of over 50% throughput improvement. So it's not just about a theoretical opportunity or theoretical maximum. This is real, and it's happening today, and it's something that Qualcomm devices support and enable without fail. And the key to that is how it's implemented. The quality and the thoughtful implementation of MU-MIMO is what sets apart one implementation from another, what sets apart being able to realize this capability versus just being able to talk about it. And I think you'll be able to hear more about this as part of the key focus sessions a little later downstairs in both the seminar and you'll see that in some of the demonstrations on the floor below. Now the other big thing with the FastConnect 6800 I'm really excited to talk about is uplink MU-MIMO. And we're announcing support for full implementation in the 6800 platform. And when you heard Morgan from CommScope talk about it, event venues equal the world's most demanding environment. And the expectations from fans are astronomical, right? So we're going to talk about either uploading video, augmented reality or virtual reality, instant replay, multiple cameras, all these things come together. And Nick mentioned it earlier about this experience in the fireworks in New York. All these come to bear together in terms of how do we take advantage or enable our networks to our clients take advantage of this. And when you look at even some other data points like Facebook Live broadcasts have doubled every year. There are right now 3.5 billion broadcasts that are being done over a 2-year period. And video quality, 4K video is no longer just an exception. It's becoming a minimum bar that most people are shooting for. And the other piece, which I'm very aware of having a young son, is 300 hours of video on YouTube are uploaded every minute. Right? Just a tremendous amount of user-created content and people doing this in all sorts of environments, whether it's the home, enterprise, or venue, public venue. All these things really demand uplink MU-MIMO, and it's a critical capability that allows us to unleash these user experiences. And FastConnect 6800 is enabling this advanced capability for our customers years in advance of any mandate from the standards and before our competitors. So I heard people talk about it before, but with respect to Wi-Fi 6 and 5G, and is Wi-Fi 6 still critical and relevant in the 5G world? And I think it's an emphatic yes, right? Whether it's efficient use of spectrum, whether it's an ever-increasing need of network offloading, whether it's symmetric capacity needs driven by latency-sensitive application, all these pieces come together to make 5G and Wi-Fi 6 a very important partnership together. And these two breakthrough technologies really work together, not only through the fact that they exist, but also through a very significant level of system-level architecture and design driven by Qualcomm innovation. We believe that these fundamental technologies will work together to transform today's connected experiences and deliver brand new experiences on mobile and compute platforms. We're very excited to be a part of it, especially in this time and with our good partners. So next, you're going to hear from some of our important customers and partners about how this technology shift is changing the world today. Thank you very much.
Please welcome Executive Officer, Ribbit Networks, Mike Cudge.
Hello everybody, my name is Mike Covich. I'm the CEO of Ribbit Networks. Among other things, we own the killer brand of networking products that primarily go in PCs. And so what I'm going to talk about is kind of where the rubber meets the road for the end user and where the performance really matters, and Wi-Fi 6 helps those users a lot. So for today's gamer, as you see, speed matters. And it's not about max throughput and things like that. Bandwidth is great, but that's not what gamers care about. Gamers care about latency. It's the travel time from point A to point B, which is basically your PC to your server and back. That's what makes the difference. Most games use about 100 to 150 kilobits of data. So what I need is that 150 kilobits to get there very, very quick. The next thing is multitasking. A lot of times people are like, hey, when gamers game, they just game. Today's gamers, especially gamers under 20, they do a lot of different things. They're on Discord, they're watching video, they're streaming up, they're streaming down, they're watching Twitch, they're watching YouTube, they're streaming up to all these places. So there's a lot of different things going on with that gamer at any given moment. And the last one is wireless. If you would have asked a gamer about 3 years ago how they play, 99% would have said they hook the Ethernet cable to the back and that's how they play. Our data shows that today, over 50% of people on gaming laptops are gaming via wireless, which is a huge transformation over the last few years because wireless has really improved a lot, and with Wi-Fi 6 it's going to improve a lot more. So what Killer makes is basically networking products. So we have to be on the best hardware, which Wi-Fi 6 clearly is. And then what we do is we detect all the different streams. We say, is it YouTube? Is it Netflix? Is it League of Legends? Is it Fortnite? What is it? And then we prioritize it to make sure that the user has the best multimedia experience possible. And then we make it customizable. So if a user wants to go in there and change things, they can do it. So this is what we're actually delivering to end customers. Now, why is Wi-Fi 6 important to these end users? Gamers care, like I said, two things: latency and variability. You can't have your latency jumping all over the place if you want to be a gamer. Like, you need consistent things to make sure that those bullets that you're shooting or those things when you jump, it needs to jump on the server, it needs to jump to your opponents too. So there's three things with Wi-Fi 6 that I'm incredibly excited about. That basically what they're doing is they're getting rid of delays. They're getting rid of waiting, if you will. Because right now what happens is, like, sometimes you have to wait. You have to wait for spectrum to clear. You have to wait your turn. You have to wait for these things, and that slows down gaming and multimedia packets. So multi-user MIMO, as you've heard, having more individual clients be able to connect to access points, huge deal, reduces waiting. Next one is OFDMA. Obviously using your spectrum better, scheduling better, having smaller channels. Again, you're reducing the waiting that gaming packet endures as part of a gaming session. And the last one is just a better use of frequency. You don't have to wait as long. They're doing a much smarter job of, hey, using this frequency no matter what's happening. Again, reducing waiting. Gaming is all about waiting, and all these Wi-Fi 6 technologies really address those problems. Okay. Now, something that we saw mentioned a little bit, but is really exciting for us, is we have a product called the Ribbit Connection Manager. We call it Killer Double Shot when it comes to our gaming products. Basically, what it does today is it says, hey, I have Ethernet and I have Wi-Fi on the same system. I want to use both at the same time. Very logical, but it doesn't happen much today. I mean, you can't do that with Windows today. Now, with dual band simultaneous from Qualcomm, what we actually have is in one module or one chipset, you can connect to 2 different bands at the same time. So you're actually connected to 2.4 and 5. Now, you could use both of those to connect to the exact same access point. Interesting. Or you could use them to connect to actually different access points. And when you connect to different access points, you kind of open up a lot of other, different things you can do. For example, if you're connected to, let's say, your public Wi-Fi on one, and you're connected to your home router on another, you actually have double the bandwidth to the internet. And I'm going to argue bandwidth around the home is important, but bandwidth to the internet is gold. That's what you really want more of, is you want more coming in and out of the network. The other thing you can do is, you can decide, we have a technology that actually judges the health of both of those bands. So we say, hey, look, your 2.4 connection, it's not great right now, but I see your 5 is really, really strong. So we're going to take your new important connections and we're going to move them to the right band. So that as a gamer, you can feel confident that you're always, having your traffic move over the best, fastest, most reliable band at any given time. Where today, if you do that same thing, you're kind of stuck on that band. There's no easy way to get your traffic to the other one other than making a manual move. So what we're seeing today, just kind of in summary, is gamers are excited about Wi-Fi 6. This is actually the biggest technology shift in all of the Wi-Fi, and we expect the transition from gamers from wired to wireless to really accelerate over as Wi-Fi 6 becomes prominent in the market. And we already have a lot of users asking us for Wi-Fi 6 because they see these benefits in gaming. So thank you very much, and look forward to talking to you after this.
Please welcome Senior Director, AMD, David McAfee.
All right, thank you all. Well, it's great to be here, and I'll start by saying AMD has been on a journey for the past couple of years, a journey to deliver high-performance computing products into the desktop space, into the mobile space, and into the enterprise. I run the Ryzen portfolio for AMD, so covering that core of desktop and mobile platforms, and I'm really pleased to say that for years, AMD and Qualcomm have been working together to put high-performance PCs and high-performance connectivity together into one system and optimizing the way that those work to deliver the best user experience. Now, we've seen some of these already, but I'll talk about how these affect the PC user. When we look at the trends that are happening in the industry, when we look at what the notebook user of tomorrow wants out of their system, they're gamers. You just heard it on the speech that we just, or on the vignette before us. Gamers care about both what they can play locally on their system, these emerging use cases of things like Google Stadia, powered by AMD's Radeon graphics, being able to connect seamlessly and quickly to that cloud gaming experience. Not just playing a game, but also creating content and streaming that. 2.3 million hours of game video uploaded to Twitch or YouTube every single month. And then this streaming phenomenon. I mean, we talked about that earlier as well, but exabytes and exabytes of data being consumed on notebooks each and every day by users who are watching their favorite shows, not on a big TV, but on a small screen that sits on their lap. So as we look at these trends that end users want out of their systems, it's not just about great computing cores and great graphics, but it's also about the connectivity that's the heart of what makes a great platform for that end user. So from our perspective, if I look at the markets that AMD tries to serve with our Ryzen family of processors, there really are those 3 primary buckets. Premium ultra thins, where it is about that video consumption experience. Thin and light, long battery life, very efficient, but a fast and responsive connectivity experience to get to the internet, to get to video streams, to get to whatever content they may want to access with that system. The content and creators and gamers. I mean, this is really one of the biggest and fastest growing segments of the notebook market. It's not just about high performance processors and notebooks to play games, but really the next wave that we're seeing emerge in the market today is the growth of the creator notebook segment, using all of the power and performance of a processor with integrated graphics, plus discrete graphics, plus connectivity to do video editing and 3D modeling and rendering and creating videos that get uploaded to the internet. Lots of growth in that segment, and again, connectivity is a core part of how that platform works. And last but not least, the enterprise segment for notebooks as well. the tried and true notebooks that go into an HP EliteBook or a Lenovo ThinkPad, those types of systems that really carry a level of security, a level of integrity, and a level of performance that's demanded by the enterprise IT manager. And all three of those places are where AMD and Qualcomm are working together to build great systems with great experiences that each of those segments need and care about. Now, earlier this year, AMD introduced our second generation Ryzen mobile processors. For us, performance is certainly one of the things we care about deeply, giving a great deal more performance in terms of both CPU and GPU performance to the end user. But really, if you look at how we talk about our notebook products today, yes, the performance of the core silicon attributes is one thing, but it's around these user experiences of around 4K streaming, of around gaming on the PC, of around battery life while binge watching. All of those relate to that connectivity part of the platform and how that works together with the processor to deliver a great set of user experiences. So one of the things that you'll see here today in the demo spaces, and one of the things that we've certainly been working with Qualcomm on for a long time, is putting together their Wi-Fi 6 capabilities into our AMD Ryzen platforms. And I'm very excited that we're partnering with Qualcomm on the innovation that they're bringing to the table with Wi-Fi 6. When I look at what that does for the notebook user, the throughput that you can get up to 1.8 gigabits per second of connectivity with Wi-Fi 6, the security attributes that are important, certainly to the enterprise, but also to an end consumer. The number of innovations that come when you put these two platforms together really is, in my opinion, the best of both worlds of performance and connectivity, and that's exactly what end users look for in their next generation PC. So thank you, and we'll turn it over to the next speaker.
Welcome, Corporate Director, Microsoft, Ian LeGros.
Good morning, I'm Ian LeGros. I'm the Director of our Client Networking at Microsoft. Microsoft and Qualcomm have partnered together for many years across multiple areas, not just network connectivity, but across AI, low-power devices, and new form factors. And what we share is a common vision for creating an intelligently connected world and enabling our customers to get connected from their devices up to the cloud. Microsoft runs a massive global scale cloud. We have 54 Azure regions around the world. We can count among our customers 95% of the Fortune 500. And these customers are connecting billions of devices up to the cloud. IoT devices, phones, PCs, and they depend on our connectivity for their experiences. Their experiences range from connecting billions of IoT devices, pushing data up from the cloud, and needing massive amounts of upload capability to get all those devices to the cloud. And also many scenarios where they're looking at taking cloud data, thinking about game streaming. We have our Project X Cloud. We're running thousands of Xboxes up in the cloud, and what we need is connectivity down to mobile devices with super low latency and high throughput to give people that experience that we're looking for. What we expect to see over the next several years is an explosion in growth of connected devices. 20 billion plus IoT devices. We expect about a quarter of those to be connected via Wi-Fi. This will also come to the home as well. You saw earlier, all the devices that will come to the home. You have your smart personal devices you carry on you and your PCs. You're going to have your smarter home devices, speakers. I even got a washing machine recently that's Wi-Fi connected. Refrigerators, plus all the infrastructure in your home. Those switches you heard about earlier, the light bulbs. You have all these devices putting huge demands on your wireless networks. This brings us to the importance of Wi-Fi 6. And a lot of us talked about this morning. Security is there. So with WPA3, you have more resistance to password attacks to make it more secure. You also have increased privacy on the go, and so that you'll have more confidence in your network. Performance, performance, performance. Critical for so many of these scenarios we've talked about. For our home customers, they expect to be able to watch those 4K movies. For those of you who have kids and they somehow have a PC and a phone both streaming simultaneously, you know what it's like to have your network saturated. So this improved bandwidth you hear about give you both greater throughput to individual devices, but more importantly, in the home, the office, the stadium, you'll be able to have many, many more devices connecting to our networks with Wi-Fi 6. And for power, I look at that for IoT devices. With IoT, you often want to have devices that are battery powered connecting to Wi-Fi networks. In brownfield environments, you'll be able to just take a little device and stick it on the back of something and not have to come back to it for months. And some of the new power saving capabilities in Wi-Fi 6 will enable these scenarios, creating opportunities for more and more Wi-Fi devices. Microsoft and Qualcomm have worked together for a very long time, as I mentioned when I started, but 2 decades ago, we first talked about Wi-Fi. We worked closely on Bluetooth, we worked on 5G. We work on these transitions between the technologies. We as well believe that 5G and Wi-Fi 6 are absolutely complementary technologies. And we want to make sure the transitions for our customers when they're walking in from outside into their house, they have a seamless flow so that if they're playing a game on the go, they don't have any glitching. They just go from one network to the other. We also work on various types of devices. There's a recently announced Samsung Galaxy Book S, which is powered by the new Qualcomm 8CX chip. And this is an amazing Windows 10 laptop with incredible battery life and always-on connectivity. We work together on IoT devices. The device pictured there is our AI vision camera, which is a development kit, which has the Qualcomm 603 on it, where there's on-device artificial intelligence processing and inference done there on the edge. And last but certainly not least is a technology that we're very proud of, which is the HoloLens 2, powered by the Snapdragon 845, an incredible mixed reality device. We expect to see Wi-Fi 6 coming to Windows 10 devices in the coming months later this year, and coming to IoT and gateway devices shortly thereafter. Thank you very much. Happy to be here talking about Wi-Fi 6 and looking forward to seeing these devices come to market and looking forward to continuing to partner with Qualcomm. Thank you.
Okay, so it's me again. Thank you very much to all of our speakers that spoke today, both from Qualcomm and from our partners and customers. So there's 3 things that we want you to take away from today. If you remember nothing else from all the presentations, all the material that was shared with you, and the announcements. Number 1, that Wi-Fi 6 is truly transformational as a technology, and it's Wi-Fi for the 5G era. And they're not mutually exclusive. Qualcomm's leadership manifested by our Networking Pro Series platforms, which were announced today, and our FastConnect subsystem, which was also announced today. And then 3, these solutions are enabling customers to achieve great outcomes. So again, thanks a lot to all of you who came today. We have lots going on for the afternoon. So I'm going to ask Allie to come on stage and tell you about the rest of your day today. So stay tuned. Enjoy the rest of your day. And again, thanks for coming.